Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing an extraordinary Patek Philippe 5146 1G annual calendar on full white gold Patek Philippe bracelet. You can see and you can purchase this watch on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during the video to see our full sales listing for the watch, with accessories included, high resolution images, and naturally complete pricing details for this Patek Philippe 5146. Now, since its 2005 debut, the 5146 has undergone a number of changes, but one of the constants has been the watch is most commonly seen on a leather strap. To experience this watch on a full precious metal Patek Philippe bracelet is a sensation for the sights, but also for the other senses, especially the tactile sense, the heft on the wrist, the mass, but also the counterbalance of a large and substantial precious metal bracelet counteracting the weight of the watch head. It transforms the experience, and yes, I weighed it, and at 185 grams, this one is solidly a heavyweight. Now, 39 millimeters across the round of the case. It doesn't include the crown, so we're talking the measurement from 9 to 3 without the crown. That's the diagonal across the case. In terms of thickness, well, quite frankly, like almost every Patek Philippe, this one is quite compact, 11 millimeters in spite of the complications and automatic winding. You can see the step of the case flank and the curve of the domed bezel means it'll easily slide underneath any dress cuff whatsoever. From lug to lug, there are two ways to measure this, and this is where the sensation begins to diverge from that of the same watch on a strap. The lug-to-lug measurement is 46.5 millimeters across my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, but it is the bracelet itself, and you can see how the end link projects outward beyond the lug on both sides, that defines the watch as a 49.5, almost 50 millimeter measurement from extremity to extremity across the wrist. It is very hefty, and the bracelet compounds that impression. By wrapping the mass all the way around your wrist, it's not top heavy in any way. It is so perfectly balanced that even if you were to add a couple of links and wear this one loose, as some enthusiasts prefer, it would have absolutely no tendency to want to porpoise or flip on your wrist. This will stay put. The bracelet is beautifully finished. You can see it's a handsome 5-link design entirely of polish. There's no satin finish here, so this one gleams gloriously. It is silken. It's almost like the Rolex Jubilee, more substantial in the hand, but I compare it to the Jubilee because the many small links mean that it's considerably more flexible than those bracelets that feature a few large links. And on the underside, beautifully finished, which is uncommon for the underside of bracelets. They're generally a sort of matte sandblast or satin finish. Here, all of high polish. You can see the broad channels between links, which explains why this bracelet does not pinch skin or pull hair. The clasp is substantial, but no more than it needs to be. It's elegant and pared down so that it wears low on the wrist when the double deployant action is buckled up, keeping it low in profile. You can see the calatrava across and the clamshell keeping it secure. A beautiful cue as to the partition point. It's understated, like Rolex's crown clasp on the President. It doesn't create a large mound of metal or an obstruction that's likely to draw undue damage when desk diving. Now, the watch features a case that is sensuous, features handsome compound curves, is minimally disrupted by the corrector pushers on its flanks, and you can see how the sensuous beauty of that domed bezel blends beautifully into the comparable curves of the case itself, and the bracelet is nicely integrated. There's no jarring transition from bracelet to lug and vice versa. Now, the dial itself is spectacular. Patek Philippe describes this particular treatment as cream, and it is a cream lacquer. At first glance, there's a lot going on, but it's not busy. There's a sort of cruciform balance to the dial, with the registers at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and then an axis running vertically from 12 o'clock to the date window at 6 through the power reserve scale, charting the 35 to 45 hours of power reserve, and straight through the bosom style moon phase, which adds a shock of color and a little bit of tonal contrast to the dial. All of the indices and Arabic numerals, as well as the foy hands and the lancet seconds, are white gold and beautifully polished, applied inboard of a railroad style minutes and seconds track. Now, the watch is fully loomed. There's a small pip of lume outboard of each index, and the foy hands, minutes and hours on the dial, glow beautifully in low or no light, so it has a little bit of sports watch aesthetic to it. You also notice there's a very, very small countersunk dish to each of the sub-registers, adding just a little bit more texture and visual nuance to the dial. Now, on the case back, you have a Patek Philippe. Let me undo the clamshell and show you to good effect. what else you're getting for your money, because the case back of a Patek Philippe is half the fun. Now, it's a caliber 324, and if you'll bear with me for a moment, we'll go through all of the abbreviations. This one is IRM for the Indicateur Reserve de Marche, the power reserve. It's an S for center seconds. It's a QA, Quantième Annuel, annual calendar, only needs to be corrected once per year in the jump from February to March. And finally, it is an LU, lunaire, for the moon phase. Beautifully made, 355 parts, immensely complex with 36 jewels. Patek Philippe's annual calendar is more complex than some brands' perpetual calendars, and it's finished with a commensurate level of artisanal virtuosity. Now, of course, the 5146 came out in 2005, so it was part of the transitional family that made the jump from the Geneva seal, which you can see on this earlier example, to the later Patek Philippe seal, which composes watches built after July of 2009. Now, there was another transition that's less well noted, but just as important, perhaps more so. Both the Patek Philippe seal and the Geneva hallmark attest to incredibly high standards of finish and execution. But after 2006, Patek Philippe stopped rhodium-plated the white gold that it made, so you went from a milky yellow substrate, quote, white gold with rhodium plate, pre-2006, to a homogeneous gray gold alloy post-2006. This watch was built as part of that post-2006 class. You can see it also features the later high-beat 4 Hz caliber 324 base rather than the 315, but it is the fact that if you scratch this bracelet, case, or bezel, you will not see a yellow substrate. It is homogeneous, it is white straight through, and because it's on the right side of that time divide for Patek Philippe, you're getting a substantially higher quality timepiece with greater inherent durability. You can see and you can purchase this 5146 1G on full gold bracelet annual calendar on our website.